Imagine watching your boyfriend live on YouTube. He's playing video games, talking to his fans, joking around like any normal Sunday night. You feel safe. You feel like everything is fine. But what if I told you he wasn't actually there? What if the live video you were watching had been recorded days earlier, and while you thought you were watching him from your couch, he was already walking toward your front door? This is the true story of a man who built the perfect alibi using his own YouTube channel. And it's the story of a young mother-to-be who never saw it coming. Stick around, because by the end of this video, you'll understand exactly how investigators cracked an alibi that seemed impossible to break, and why one small mistake ended up destroying it completely. Let's get into it. Before we talk about how she died, I want you to know how she lived. Natalie McNally was 32 years old, from Lurgan, Northern Ireland. Her parents, Noel and Bernie, describe her as a total bookworm, always mid-chapter in something, never one to tidy up after herself. If you walked into her room, you'd probably trip over a pile of paperbacks. She was a die-hard Everton fan, not the casual kind, the kind who traveled to matches with her dad and her brothers, screaming at the TV, living and dying with every goal. She loved the Killers. She was close with her whole family, the only girl among 3 brothers, Niall, Declan, and Brendan. Her mum has called her, simply, her best friend. In October, just 2 months before she died, she'd celebrated her 32nd birthday, surrounded by the people who loved her most. And here's the part that makes this story even harder. In November 2022, Natalie told her family she was pregnant, a boy. She already had a name picked out, Dean. Her parents started planning, arguing over prams, buying a chair for the nursery, all the little things families do when a baby is coming. Quick question for you. Have you ever had a piece of news change your whole family's future in one sentence? That's what this pregnancy was for the McNallys, and it makes what happened next even more devastating, because Natalie wasn't the only life that was taken that night. So who was the man responsible? His name is Stephen McCullagh, a few years older than Natalie, from Lisburn. By day, he worked part-time for a newspaper, but online, he had a different identity, a YouTube gaming creator with tens of thousands of subscribers, mostly known for long live-streamed gaming sessions. They matched on Bumble in August 2022. Things moved fast. Within a few months, Natalie was pregnant. But underneath the surface, things weren't as solid as they looked. In the weeks before her death, Natalie had reportedly been messaging other men. Something prosecutors would later say suggested she was starting to have second thoughts about the relationship. Her family says she'd started to pull away. Here's the question I want you to sit with. How well do we ever really know the people we let closest to us? Because whatever McCullagh knew or suspected about Natalie pulling away, what he did with that information wasn't an argument. It was a plan. Sunday, December 18th, 2022. If you remember that day, it was the World Cup final, Argentina versus France, one of the most watched football matches ever played. The whole world was distracted. Natalie spent part of the day with her parents, like she often did. Sometime after 5 p.m., she went back home to Silverwood Green in Lurgan. At just before 6 p.m., her phone buzzed. A message from Stephen. He told her he was about to go live and stream all night. She replied, "Good luck, I'll watch." That short, completely ordinary exchange, "Good luck, I'll watch," was the last normal moment Natalie McNally would ever have. Minutes later, a 6-hour video appeared on McCullagh's YouTube channel, titled something like Christmas Gaming Livestream. To anyone watching, it looked exactly like every other stream he'd ever done, happening live, right now, in real time. It wasn't. While that video played to Natalie and thousands of subscribers, CCTV cameras across 2 towns were quietly recording the truth. A man in dark clothing, face mostly covered, boarded a bus out of Lisburn. He got off. He walked, nearly half an hour on foot, toward Natalie's street. At 8:52 p.m., a man carrying a rucksack turned onto Silverwood Green. Around 9 p.m., 2 of Natalie's neighbors heard screaming coming from her house. One of them saw a large shadow move across her blinds. At 9:30 p.m., that same figure left Silverwood Green. But here's the chilling part. He didn't look the same anymore. His clothes had changed. On his way out, he'd taken the time to become someone else. Would you have noticed anything wrong if you were her neighbor that night? Because 2 people did hear something, and it still took years to prove what it really was. Natalie wasn't found that night. She was found the next evening, Monday, December 19th, when McCullagh arrived at her house and called emergency services around 10 p.m. On the call, he told the operator he'd come because he hadn't heard from her and was worried. He mentioned she was pregnant. He mentioned they had a scan booked for the next day. He was crying, sobbing, struggling to get words out while the operator talked him through CPR. Paramedics arrived to a scene that's since been described in court in the plainest terms possible. A dog barking, a knife lying just feet from Natalie's body, blood on the floor. The first paramedic to reach her noted her hands and lips had already turned blue. A pathologist later determined she'd been dead for around 24 hours, meaning she was killed the night before during that 6-hour live stream. McCullagh was arrested at the scene on suspicion of murder, and then, within a day, he was released. Quick pause before we go further. If you're new here, this channel covers real true crime cases just like this one, breaking down exactly how investigators solve the unsolvable. If you're finding this one interesting, hit subscribe, drop a like, and let me know in the comments what you think happened next, because the next part of this story is where it gets really unbelievable. Okay, let's continue. Here's why McCullagh walked free after his first arrest. He had an answer for the one question every detective needs answered. Where were you? His answer was the stream. 6 hours of him at home, playing video games, talking about the time as the night went on. To investigators, in those first days, that looked airtight. A man can't be strangling someone in Lurgan while he's broadcasting live from his flat in Lisburn at the very same moment. The alibi held. He walked. But here's what nobody could see yet. Just how carefully that proof had been built. In the video, McCullagh told his viewers he couldn't check the live chat because of technical issues. Convenient, right? Because it meant nobody would notice that he never responded to a single comment in real time. Something that's almost impossible to fake on an actual live stream, but very easy to fake on a pre-recorded one. He'd built this video like a performance, not for his subscribers, for the police he expected would come asking questions. And in the days that followed, McCullagh didn't run. He didn't disappear. He went straight to the McNally family home. He grieved with them. He even showed them an engagement ring he claimed he'd bought for Natalie. He came to her wake. He was there on Christmas Day. He also pointed police towards someone else, a former partner of Natalie's, whom he suggested had been harassing her. For a while, that story stood right alongside his alibi. Grieving boyfriend, suspicious ex. Ask yourself, if someone you trusted did all of this in front of you, would you have suspected anything? But detectives didn't stop working. They pulled over 3,000 hours of CCTV footage from across 2 towns. Slowly, all those separate pieces of footage, a figure on a bus, a figure walking through town, a figure changing clothes, started pointing in exactly one direction. After leaving Natalie's street, The disguised figure walked into Lurgan town center and climbed into a taxi outside a bar. The driver picked up a male passenger late that night and drove him to an address in Lisburn, Woodland Gardens, Stephen McCullagh's home. That same driver would later identify McCullagh in a police lineup, and the taxi's own GPS data recorded it stopping outside McCullagh's front door at 11 minutes past 11 that night. Here's the twist that broke the entire case open. Prosecutors believe McCullagh had actually planned to take the train home, to keep his movements untraceable, but he missed the last train. He didn't have cash on him for a taxi fare in a way that would leave no digital trail, so he had to pay by card. The very method he used to avoid leaving evidence is what created it. Meanwhile, his phone told its own story. Between 6 p.m. and just after 11 p.m. that night, almost total silence. No activity, as if he'd left it behind somewhere he didn't want it traced to. But the final nail came from his own streaming software. When digital forensics examined McCullagh's computer, they found something his story could never survive. During the pauses in his live stream, there was zero background activity, the kind of activity a real, live broadcast would generate constantly. In fact, there was no user interaction with that computer at all between 6 p.m. and just after midnight. The truth? That 6-hour live stream was actually a single recording, made days earlier, saved in the early hours of one morning, and then simply broadcast later as if it were happening in real time. Once it had served its purpose, the file was deleted. McCullagh held onto his alibi through 8 separate police interviews, spread across 44 days. He only gave it up once he was confronted directly with the forensic evidence. Even then, his new story was that he'd simply been home drinking, and that the real killer had staged everything to frame him. What would it take to convince you someone was lying if they held on to the same story for 44 straight days? On January 31st, 2023, McCullagh was arrested for a second time. 2 days later, he was formally charged with Natalie's murder. What came next was years of waiting. He was denied bail again and again, partly over concerns he might interfere with witnesses. In late 2025, the trial itself was delayed after tens of thousands of pages of new evidence were disclosed to the defense. More than 3 years after Natalie's murder, in February 2026, a jury of 6 men and 6 women was finally sworn in at Belfast Crown Court. Over roughly 5 weeks, the court heard everything. The state pathologist described multiple stab wounds, heavy blows to the head, and bruising consistent with someone gripping her throat. He couldn't name one single cause of death, because more than one of her injuries could have killed her on its own. What he could say for certain was that Natalie endured a prolonged, brutal attack. The jury saw the faked live stream, the CTV, the taxi records, the phone that went silent for 5 hours. They heard about the engagement ring and about a previous partner of McCullagh's who alleged past abuse. They also heard from the ex-boyfriend McCullagh had tried to frame, a man who admitted he'd lied to police about something unrelated, but who had a solid alibi and told the court plainly he had nothing to do with Natalie's death. During his own police interviews, McCullagh answered, "No comment," more than 80 times. When he had the chance to explain himself under oath at trial, he chose not to. His defense didn't call a single witness. On March 23rd, 2026, after just over 2 hours of deliberation, the jury returned. The foreman was asked for their verdict. One word: guilty. The courtroom erupted. Natalie's family and friends in the public gallery cheered, some rising to their feet. McCullagh, sitting in the dock, showed almost no reaction at all. Murder in Northern Ireland carries an automatic life sentence, but a judge still has to set the minimum number of years someone must serve before they can even be considered for release. That's called the tariff. The judge described the murder as cold, calculated, and brutal. He pointed to the faked alibi, the loss of Natalie's unborn child, the fact that McCullagh had sat in the McNally family's home, pretending to grieve with them, and his attempt to frame an innocent man. On June 3, 2026, Stephen McCullagh was sentenced to life in prison, with a minimum of 31 years before he can be considered for parole. Outside the courthouse, Natalie's father spoke for the family. Over the past 3.5 years, our family has been through unimaginable pain and grief from the loss of our beautiful daughter, Natalie. We don't celebrate this sentence, because my sons and I are serving a life sentence too, since the day she was murdered. But we hope it helps stop violence against women and girls in this country. Within hours of the verdict, McCullagh's YouTube channels, the very platform he'd used to build his fake alibi, were permanently removed. At the center of this story isn't the man who killed her. It's Natalie, a woman who loved to read, who never missed an Everton match with her dad, who was weeks away from filling her parents' house with a baby boy she'd already named. That Sunday night, she logged onto YouTube to watch someone she trusted. He wasn't home. He was already on his way to her door. If this case affected you the way it affected me, let me know in the comments. And if you haven't already, subscribe so you don't miss the next case. I'll see you in the next video.